Absolutely. So while we were rambling, I was activating all of my online platforms. Facebook changed up a little bit, so I have to kind of baby Facebook. Um,
Yeah, you might have to show us how you maneuver that one.
oh yeah, at any time, anytime. And I was listening to a couple of your guys' broadcasts. So how are the kids enjoying Seesaw?
The Seesaw program.
The Seesaw program.
They are doing okay with it.
Yeah.
They miss their teacher and the classes. Now that they're home, everybody's gone back. So it's just all on us and them. And they're doing the best they can. So they have fun taking videos and pictures and sending it into the teacher, but they miss the interaction mostly.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So is your school right now virtual, or did they have the option of going back?
They had the option to go back. We just chose to wait it out a little bit longer. I think like 8% of Grace did not go back. So we're in that 8%.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Well, we are actually live on Facebook. We're live on Instagram, and I want to just take a moment to share with my viewers how super stoked I am that you guys are back, because you guys had a ton of insight and a lot of value almost maybe 8 months ago during the summer, but you guys have been super busy. So by way of introduction, these are my buddies, Joe and Jen. Jen buys 585. You guys have expanded outside of New York now, which is super exciting. And I really just want to kind of get up to speed on the backstory, because you guys have a lot of moving parts right now. So I really appreciate your time. And Jen, by the way, happy early Mother's Day.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having us on here. Our pleasure to come on. We just were so excited that we met you last year and connected here in the 585. So we're pumped to be back and share, what's been going on in the last 8 months or so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
well,
and it's been a whirlwind. It's been a great time. It's been a lot of learning. It's building, growing experience. So, we're happy. Thank you for having us.
absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So I got a ton of questions, and I'm sure we're going to get some questions through our Facebook and our Instagram feed. So let me just jump right in there. So my first question is this. Um, Through just kind of being every time you guys go live, I'm actually in the middle of something, so I try to catch your lives like later on that night. So you had this one live where you guys were able to, after a lot of persistence, lock up a deal, I guess 100+ acres, 6 or 7 bedrooms, $1 million deal. Tell my viewers a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was a lot of persistence. We had a seller reach out to us and wanted to sell his house. This was it's an hour south of Albany, New York. It's a small town called Hunter, New York. It's actually not very far from Woodstock, and it's a property it's 190 acres with a 7-bedroom house, and it's 2 miles from a really nice ski resort. So it's got a lot of different options for it. The gentleman originally had it on the market at $1.2 million and was having a hard time selling it. Told us he didn't think the realtor did a very good job, and he just wants to sell it and move on. He's ready to move south. It's been in his family for over 100 years, and the house needs work. He understands that, but it's just ready to go. So we end up working out a deal with him, understanding that we're going to put the house under contract for a decent price, which is $900,000 is what we agreed on. And that anything above that, we're going to be able to make our money. So what we're going to do is bring it to marketplace. We're not realtors, but we let them know we're not the buyer, but we're going to start advertising it on social media and all of our resources. It's not going to cost them anything. There's no fees or anything like that. and we're going to bring the property to market. And if we could find a cash buyer for anything over 900 grand, we're keeping. He's very happy because it just costs him nothing. Right.
Right.
And so now we have our team on it, and it's even at $1 million, it's still a great bargain for a buyer, because of the fact is, directly next door, they have these smaller houses that are about 1,200 square feet on 20 to 30 acres that are selling for $500,000 in 550, 570. So this is 190 acres with a 7-bedroom house. The $1 million number is more than a bargain for the property. So we're able to help out a seller. We're able to, make obviously a deal for us if we can make it work. And so, and that was just follow up, because after we originally agreed on a deal, he kind of just disappeared when we sent him the agreement, and then said, no, this won't work. And then a couple of weeks later, after some follow up, he came back around, and now he's okay with it.
Okay. So where did did you market for this lead, or where did the lead come from? You guys have a lot of referral business, so I'm just curious.
Yeah, this was actually one of our paid sponsored ads that we run, that we do on Facebook. And I think it was a comment. He was almost like not a rude comment, but was a, yeah, I wish this were true, or something along those lines, is all he said.
Oh my
So
goodness.
we always respond to every comment. And that's why, whether it's a paid ad or just one on your Facebook wall, you just never know. So you always want to respond as quickly as possible as a nice human being. And so one of our team members, saw that comment, politely said, I'm sending you a message, and he started that conversation via Messenger, and then took it to the phone, and so on and so forth. But yeah, it's really, a valuable lesson there to always respond to a comment and make sure that you're friendly, because you don't know, what that person's intent is on the other line. And he's very frustrated because he has his property he wants to sell, already had bad luck with a realtor, wants to move out of state. So to be the problem solver is really the key here, and to answer his questions as quickly as possible was definitely in our best interest.
Right.
Wow. Now, so Joe, I know you're pretty competitive. When you saw that comment, was it like, ooh, challenge accepted? How did you approach that?
We have a great team on our side, and it really was, it's what they do. And, that was a deal that one of our acquisitions, she has every reason to be busy. She's a stay-at-home mom, or not stay-at-home mom, but she's a mom of 2 little ones. She's a nurse full-time. She has her own rental properties. So she's a landlord. She's married, she's got a lot of things going on, and she's been on our team, and she's fantastic. So she's extremely competitive.
Mhm.
So, and she's fantastic with people. So when we do have a lead that comes in, and it's first come, first serve with our team. So whoever's the fastest gets it. So they all want it, and which is great. But she did, and she's great with folks. I think probably, because of her job, she's a nurse. So
yeah. So on first response, you had no idea if this person had a house available, and let alone $1 million property. We had no idea. So that's why every comment counts.
Yes.
Right. Makes sense.
We don't find out about the property till we start finding out if we could help them out. So
Mhm.
later on in the conversation, that's when we found out what we had. And so that's why you never know what that comment can turn into.
Mhm.
Makes a lot of sense. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So because you guys have kind of had some success, just a little bit, you guys have developed some haters online.
You know what?
Kind of comes with the territory, I guess.
And it stemmed from just one comment on our Facebook page. It was like, basically like, you're providing a disservice because you're buying all the real estate.
Yeah, we're buying all of the properties. Just the 2 of us. It's all
And
us.
no, I sit back and I think to myself, I'm like, we buy in New York State, we buy in Pennsylvania, we buy in North Carolina. Are we buying? I mean, we did 6 deals last month, and I think there's still many left on the table for everybody else. So,
Yeah.
it's when you find somebody, then you look them up, and it's another real estate investor actually. And, they've done, I think, maybe 1 deal, and maybe it is tough, and it is sure it is, but if you do all the things we do, you'll get deals too.
But I think, Earl, wasn't it you that even said, if they just asked, we'd probably help them,
Right,
like it's all about
absolutely.
networking.
Yeah.
And treating each other with kindness and not as competition per se, or at least not being like hateful. My goodness.
Right.
Well, I mean, and you guys have kind of, even in my interaction, you guys have always had like an abundance mindset, not a competitive or scarcity mindset, but an abundance mindset. And then, so I do believe like there's energy that we emit to people that bring people in situations into our lives if we're giving out the right vibe. Jen, I know you do a lot of journaling in your morning routine that kind of gets your mind right. So I do believe if you are in that scarcity mindset, you're giving off like a lot of bad mojo, a lot of bad vibes, and you don't bring people and situations into your space. So
Well,
Absolutely.
and I think that's kind of the point. You know, we love to work with other folks. We love to, network, and that's how we've got to meet, and you meet some great friends, you make some great connections out of it. So, you put out good stuff and you try to help other folks succeed too, and it comes back to you tenfold. So,
absolutely.
you try to just focus on helping other people, and obviously it benefits everybody.
Well, so the reason I brought that up is because I heard you guys talk about this, and I want you guys to say more about it. That real estate is about real people and real relationships. And if you could share that with my viewers, because wholesaling can be very transactional, and the relationship may not be the driver of the activity. So you guys could talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's interesting because the first I heard that phrase somewhere and it just stuck with me, and like it's almost like a mantra at this point. And the first thing pops in my head is a wholesale deal, I believe, where a gentleman is over mowing a lawn to a property that he doesn't even own yet. So there is a relationship there already between him and the property, and him wanting to make things happen, and like the whole circle all around. So I feel like the property is always a byproduct. That's
Mhm.
the end goal, right? Somebody has one they want to sell, and most likely somebody's going to want to buy.
Mhm.
And in between there are human beings, and that's where it can get messy and complicated. But, for us to say too, we don't do business with people who don't want to do business with us. You want to be able to have good energy and positivity and have all of that, juju, like you were saying, because it's also your livelihood and what you're doing all day. So you want to make it enjoyable, and it's supposed to be, as fun as possible. Yes, there's lots of things that can happen in real estate deals, and it is transactional. But at the end of the day, we're all humans with hearts and they all beat the same. So it's really important to keep that in mind.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So for my viewers that don't know, not only do you guys solve problems with respect to creative finance, which I want to dig a little deeper into, but from time to time, the solution is you actually have to take down the property yourself, and you guys do it in flips. But you don't do it in the traditional sense. You utilize IRA method,
Right.
and I think it was Quest IRA that you were sharing on one of your. I actually reached out to them because I had no knowledge of that. So if you guys could speak a little bit about why that is just a really brainy way of doing real estate investing.
Yeah, we love investing with using a self-directed IRA. I think it's really what's one of these things that gets slept on. Not enough people know about this in the real estate investing world. And you could start with very little and grow it quickly. And I mean, to give you an example, if you start a Roth, self-directed Roth IRA, any profit that you make in there, you don't pay tax on that the rest of your life. So what's going to happen is if you start with a few $1,000s in there and you let that grow, do a couple deals, put some money in there. And I'll give you an example. What we did was I had a 401k from my old job. I rolled, I think it was $15,000 into one of these. So I had to pay some tax on it, which was 10%. So I had 13.5 sitting in a Roth IRA. Jen finds a piece of land for $8,000. It was a lot. and we got under contract with closing costs. It was another 1,500. So we had under contract for 9,500. We bought it. Immediately we listed with a realtor and we sold it for 26.5. So what happens is after we pay the realtors and some closing costs, we netted out 24,000. Now, when we have 9,500 out of pocket, we're looking at about a $15,000 profit. Now, typically, if you've done that, you're going to spend a third of that towards your capital gains tax is wiped out on that deal. So what happens is, though, if you do that inside of a self-directed Roth IRA, so the Roth is what bought the property, it's no different than an investment like you bought Apple stock and it went up. You don't pay any tax on it as long as you take it out when you're over 59 and a half. So with that being the case, that money goes back into the IRA. So that 13.5, now you add another 15,000 and it's at 29,000. We find another piece of land for 12,000, which we have under contract now. We're going to buy it for 13.5 with closing costs, another 1,500. And the realtor says it's probably worth 30,000. So once we buy that and do the same rinse and repeat within, less than a year, you've had an account that started off with 15 grand and you're going to have close to 50. And that's a heck of a return. That's off buying some, this is off buying lots of land. This is not buying a house where we're doing work to it. We buy the land, we sell the land with a realtor. Just lots. That's all they are. And now what's happening is, especially with the shortage housing, some people are looking to build. Mm-hmm. And if you could find lots right now, especially approved lots, sometimes you might need to do a little legwork to get it approved. Some they already are. But if they are, that's a heck of a good value. So even off-market lots right now are a great bargain if you could find them cheap. And so the one we have is we're actually right in the village of Brockport, and there's no lots in the village of Brockport. And this is one in the village of Brockport, not far from the college. A house burned down there 5 years ago, and they had a crappy little sign.
You could barely read it. We had to literally pull over and really read the chicken scratch. And then we called several times, probably 15, 20 times, because he was just hard to get a hold of, which is a good thing. If you're persistent, you'll eventually get to him.
Right, exactly.
So, we love doing that. And the benefit of this is what I've learned is a lot of wealthy people, they're becoming IRA millionaires because they're doing all of this inside of an IRA. So what's happening is you're able to, now imagine if you're able to flip and do transactions without a third of your profit disappearing to the taxes. You're going to actually get to your numbers in a third of the time to get to $1 million than you would if you were paying taxes. So this is why it's super, it's not overly complicated, but Quest Trust Company has a lot of great free seminars. They're great people, A+ customer service.
And they walk you through everything.
They walk you literally through everything. I mean, I've had them on the phone saying, okay, what box do I press here? And then what do I, and I put what, and they'll walk you through it. They're great people.
Yeah.
I don't know how they find people that this nice, but it's awesome. So
I'm scheduled to take one of their Zoom seminars next Saturday. And I was telling Kivo about it as well, because he and his brother are in the middle of a flip. But of course, in order to take advantage of this strategy, I'm assuming that you have to use your LLC, not your personal name. And I'm also assuming, what's the minimum that you should have in this self-directed RIA?
I mean, if you put $1,000 in it and you use $1,000 deposit for a wholesale deal,
okay,
that's plenty. So there's a few different ways that you can structure it. That's what Quest will walk you through.
Yeah, they really break it down step by step of whose name, who needs to be involved, and all of that.
Okay.
But I will say you have to follow this, cross every T, dot every I, be extremely thorough. And that's why you really want to understand with Quest, they'll walk you through it, because if you do goof up and fudge any of this, the IRS can take your IRA account if you're not doing this correctly. So just make sure that you learn everything you can from Quest, because like the IRS, they do not play. And why get on their bad side anyways? Just do it legitly and you'll have nothing to worry about. But you want to make sure you're doing it the correct way. But that's what Quest is. They're great educators and they're great making sure that, and there's just a few things to understand. And once you do, it's not overly complicated.
Yeah, we've done a couple of their seminars.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So the next question I have for you guys is this. You guys have been extremely busy. You had a 30-day challenge last month. I believe you had a master class last month. You're expected to do another master class this month. And on top of that, you got a new website. So,
Right.
so help our people know about what processes did you guys use to go from the concept to the actual implementation?
The
Lots
first thing,
going on.
yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, because that's like a fraction of what we're really doing here, Earl. I mean, it sounds like a lot as you say it. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just like a small part. But we read the book Think and Grow Rich, and the book talks to you if you've read it enough times. And so Joe and I are each other's mastermind. And then obviously we do other masterminds as well. And so together, you know, when you have your at least one other person, you grow a third brain. It sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's true. So with that, I kid you not, you know, one night on the couch, we're by the fire, we're chit-chatting, and lo and behold, we start just coming up with creative finance playbook. And you know, you start opening your eyes and seeing what the people need. And honestly, that's what happened. Was other people were coming to us on Instagram and Facebook, asking us for more information. And being a teacher at heart, and Joe's always been a leader, you know, they just started forming. Ideas would come to us and we just acted upon them. And I think that was really truly what happened. And so, you know, it was started as a class, and then it turned into, let's really launch this as a whole website, and let's give as much free content out as we can and share some of the behind the scenes of what makes us successful that costs $0. And then if you want a little bit more, then, you know, investing in yourself is the best way to learn and really truly take that valuable information. And, you know, it just continues to grow.
Yeah. And it's to the point now where we've actually started coaching others. We've got 7 students. And we started coaching the very beginning of April. And with a lot of these folks, some of them have not done any real estate deals, some have. And the funny thing is, the 2 of our students who haven't ever done deals are the first 2 to, it looks like, have deals. One, she's in
Creative finance deals.
Creative finance too. So we've got one student, she's just been with us for 30 days, and she's got a deal in Texas where it's a no money down, and she's buying the house for what the gentleman owes on it. And we're looking at a few $1,000s out of pocket. And then she's going to take over making his mortgage payment of like $600 a month. House has got a new roof. The guy just got relocated from Texas, believe it or not, to Buffalo, New York, of all places.
Get out of here.
Right?
It's the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Why would you come up here?
But with that being the case, it's a great deal for him because he's out of state. He doesn't have to worry about it. And she's even going to pay his closing costs, and he's just free to walk away of that house out there that's been empty for a while because he actually got moved to another city before Buffalo. So
this was a vacant property then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so there's that one right there. And we're just getting the agreements together right now. We got into a closing call just a couple nights ago, and he's like, yes, let's go ahead. And then I got into a closing call with a deal actually in Miami with one of our students. And Annie she's never done a deal before. And she found somebody who has a condo that they'll consider selling with seller financing. We've talked about no money down, having a decent payment at a fair price. And it sounds like if we could just cross a couple things off, we're planning to see it next Thursday. And if everything looks great, it sounds like that could be a deal too, with just paying closing costs.
Wow.
And no money down. So with pulling no credit, no going into a bank, not saying, hey, could I apply for this loan? None of that kind of stuff. So these are the things that, we've implemented with our own team. Now we're having our students do it, and we're seeing a great turnaround time. I mean, 30 days from where they started.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We meet with them weekly. So it's, it's having that coaching, but it's having the accountability, because we want to make sure that you hired us to make sure you're buying real estate. So let's go.
And the 2 ladies are taking action.
Yes.
So it's not like they're just showing up every Thursday just to chit chat. I mean, they're coming with, even the one girl, she recorded herself on the seller call, on a different call. And she said, can you critique me? Like, how amazing is that? Where somebody is so coachable that she's sharing vulnerably, like, can you tell me what I did right, what I did wrong? Like, I'm really open to some criticism here. And no wonder she's the first one to get a deal.
And the odd thing about it is, we have a lot of other folks who, some of them are already kind of investors and some have properties. So for her to get the first deal, she was just action taker. We gave her directions. She took action, and she's amazing at it. So that's why we love helping people. And she's nervous. It's awesome to see in her face. She's like, oh my God, we're making a deal. Like I could see it, and like the deer in the headlights look. I'm like, don't worry, you got me. I'm right here.
Yeah.
It's okay. But yeah, you might be buying your first house with a couple grand out of pocket and never going to a bank. Like how odd is that? Usually everybody buys their first house by going to a bank and doing all those things and qualifying for no. And so that's her story, which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So you're actually, Joe, you're actually jumping on the calls with your students to lock in these deals, huh?
Yeah, because what's going to happen is we use it as the two thing. I want them to get the deal and I want them to hear how it's done, right? So if I do this every time for them, then I'm just no better than I'm fishing for them. But my goal is to teach them how to fish by this call. So after we kind of have a huddle and say, did you see what happened here, here, and here? And this is why it went this way, good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as locking up deals, I love talking to sellers and I love to try to structure a deal. And there's so many different layers and levels to it.
Mm-hmm.
And in so many different directions this deal could go, but you got to kind of look at it and say, okay, this is what we need to do here.
And that kind of training was used in, I did Advocare, which is like an MLM years ago, but that was exactly what we were trying to do. Is I would get somebody on the call and then hit mute after I introduced them to my upline. And that's exactly what it is. And while I would frantically take notes and really listen, it's not a time to push mute and go like make popcorn and, watch a little bit of TV. I'm sitting there studying, what is this person saying and how am I going to close that transaction? And so just to kind of relate it to the housing business was really easily done. And so we really make sure they understand too, like, this is going to be you. So listen to what he says and how he says things. So when it is your turn, you're not like, wait, what?
No, that's huge value, because I think most people who have some sort of entrepreneurial journey has had an MLM story, whether it's been positive or not so positive. So we can absolutely relate to that. You're on the phone, you get your senior partner to kind of speak the service or product benefit to your your individual, and you're taking notes the whole time.
Yep.
Right.
So really good. So let's do this then. One of the questions I always ask all of my guests is, okay, here we are, new city, no money, no contacts. You got to get a deal in 30 days. What does that look like for you guys?
I'm looking to do 5 in that 30 days.
Okay. All right.
So that's what I'm going to do. So the first thing I would do is I hope I have access to internet, because I'm going to hop on social media and I'm going to start reaching out to, because like we kind of chatted about earlier with our creative deals versus wholesalers are typically spending a lot of time, sometimes money, pulling lists, calling, resources to get a lot of leads. Now, like we chatted about earlier, the world that they live in is about a 50 to 60% loan to value. So
Absolutely.
if they can't get a house for basically half off, that deal doesn't work for them. So
Right.
How can I make that deal work at 95%, 70%, 80%? I could get in all of those ranges with creative finance. So I would be reaching out to a lot of wholesalers and say, hey, Earl, you got any deals that you're working on where the people just want too much money for their house? If you got any, you got any you're working on right now, because I could buy those deals.
Okay.
So I would start doing that 100%.
Reach
And
out
I
to
would
host.
make it known in time. Yeah. And my first day, I would reach out to 50 of you and I'd message all of them. I would call them all, get them on a phone call, say if they've got any deals they're working on that I could look at right now. And I might have a deal that day. I might have a deal within 2-3 days of doing that.
Right. And we would just go through our list and say, yeah, this five of my leads are no longer viable for me. Yeah, have at it. Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay. And the thing is this, I'm not looking for the wholesaler's best and shiniest deal. I'm looking for the ones they can't get rid of. The ones that you're going to pull that wrinkled piece of paper out of the garbage.
Okay.
Yep. And I'm going to convert those and I'm going to pay you for that too. So this is why everybody's going to love what we can do. We can help them. And then I'm going to hop on Facebook, Marketplace, Craigslist, Zillow, and I'm going to offer them way more than every other investor can in town, because of, once again, I could buy on terms. And within that first month, I bet you I'll have 5 deals.
Strong. So for my viewers that are listening in, you should be impressed. You should be impressed because that's a pretty strong statement. So this kind of leads into the question I have for you, Jen. So I know your intentions is the class that you started in April. You're going to take them through a 90-day or a 4 or 5 month window. When does your next class begin?
Yeah, so with the mentoring, we chose to take on, I think it's 7 students, and closed it at that because we want to make sure that everybody gets, as much of our attention. We still have 2 kids that we're teaching at home too, so our lives are crazy.
And our team of houses that we're buying and selling.
So we will be opening up. They're on for 6 months. So it was a 6-month mentorship that they signed up for. So that takes us to probably October. And then we're thinking of opening enrollment again in September. So we're going to open that up. And this again is the intensive once a week. They meet with us, half-hour private call, Zoom call. And then we also have monthly mastermind meetups with them as well, where they can kind of network with each other because the students are already really connecting and teaching one another different things. So that's been a beautiful thing to see as well. So September will be open enrollment for that.
We also have a private group for our acquisitionists and just our students where we're all sharing everything that's going on. And you'll see tremendous amount of growth in there and networking, which has been, phenomenal on its own. So there's so much buried in there just in that one group too. So part of our mentoring package is that you do get a part of that. So you're going to learn from, other students that we've had. You're going to have to, you could reach out to some of our acquisition team and say, hey, you're a superstar in Joe and Jen's team. How do you do this? And then we're in there too. So it's a great community to be a part of. And we have people that try to join every day. And for that, we cannot. It's only for the students and coaches. So, but it's cool because really our goal is if you're going to be hiring us to be your coaches, you're paying us to get you some deals. So our mission is now how many, not if you're going to get a deal, but if you're coachable and you could, put the gas pedal down, it's going to be how many deals are you going to get with us in 6 months? And that's where
it's really a la carte training, which I really like too. And most of them are at the same level and never done creative finance at all. But like Joe said, some have done some investing and some have done none. So it's really nice place to just be able to put files and uploads and examples that we can all share there instead of like doing mass emailings too. So it's really been a nice little spot for them to learn.
So one of the questions I'm seeing in our social media feed is the cost of tuition. Now, what does that look like? Is that something that they students pay up front, or is it a monthly commitment?
So what we've done in the past, and we're going to revisit this for the fall, because for the very first opening rounds, we did give a really good discount for it, just to do a test run for everybody and look at the responses from it. And I mean, every one of our students is doing tremendous things. And within the first 30 days, they're not even the same people anymore. So I'm so excited what's going to happen for them the next 5 months and where their progression is. And all of them are like extremely pumped. So we're going to work out the details. What we've done in the past is we will set up some type of payment plans too, to help with that coaching. Just for the same folks, who really are excited about getting into the program and are willing to dedicate it. Because the one thing I will say is we're extremely picky who we will work with, because, there's a lot of folks that we interviewed and I could see from maybe their lifestyle or their scheduling, we might not be able to meet up as much. They weren't going to be able to commit as much time as needed to be successful. And so just like if I'm applying to be the head coach of the New York Jets, I want to walk into the organization and make sure that this is a right fit for me as the head coach, just like it is they're trying to see if I'm the right head coach for the Jets. Although I'm a Niners fan, but hey, I'm using the Jets because we're in New York. But
no Bills.
But that's the case is, I know I love the Bills too. But this is kind of the point is, I want to make sure it's the right fit for the students, because our biggest goal for you is we're going to focus a lot of time on you and what is it going to take for you to get some of these deals going under your belt. And it's exciting when you see it happen for somebody.
Okay. So I'm going to have all your social media contact below. So literally, if you're checking out the content and you want to get more information on Jen and Joe's mentoring program, just please reach out to them. They're letting you know there's a window of time between now and September. You may want to do some outreach and have some conversations. But these guys, now here's the exciting stuff. Okay, so it was Jenn Buys 585. Now it's Jenn Buys North Carolina and Jenn Buys Pennsylvania. Talk to us about that a little bit.
And soon Jenn Buys Florida. Yeah, well, it kind of just organically, once again, things just start happening. So what happened was we got one property right on the outside of New York. It was in PA. And when you start buying virtually, we quickly realized if you know what you're doing and even if you don't have boots on the ground, you can do this business very successfully. So we just kind of took that leap and continued to grow. And the team members were in Pennsylvania, so that really helped. So they do know the area. And then North Carolina, I don't even know where that one came from.
Well, we're making our way down the coast. Really, we want to go down the Carolinas to Georgia to Florida. Well, the thing is this, and we realized too, is there's just so many opportunities out there. And what's the difference if I'm buying it virtually and it's 1 hour for me in Buffalo, or if it's 20 hours for me or 10 hours for me? What's really the difference? If it's a great deal and we could help somebody, then do the deal.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's what happened. Really, the Buffalo property, we did go visit because it's not too far. Bless you. But we're not driving by it every day. So like kind of just already having that little bit of distance, it was like, okay, we can do this. It's just the mindset, the confidence, and understanding again the way real estate works.
Right. I mean, and I think the one positive thing, if you will, that has come out of the pandemic is that we've gotten very comfortable working through technology. Whether it's we're using Zoom right now, or whether it's using DocuSign. So technology does allow us to change our paradigm of how we used to do business.
Well, and the thing is, it's never been easier in the history of man. It's never been easier than it is today. And tomorrow it'll be even a little tiny bit easier. So this is the point. If it is this, because when I got started 20 years ago, I couldn't have a Zoom meeting with somebody in North Carolina.
True.
I couldn't say, let's do a virtual walkthrough of your house. They wouldn't even know what that meant back then.
Sounds like the Jetsons.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So fast forward to 2021 and we're able to do these things. It's just, we are in a blessing, perfect time for it. The virus, it was obviously, it's impacted a lot of lives, but also on the flip side, like you said, it's also made us feel more comfortable. And some folks actually prefer to not have 10 people at their house, but turn their phone around and walk us through the property.
Yeah.
So with that being the case, it's really changed our outlook on things, and it's really helped production quite a bit.
Right. It was being able to pivot and roll with the changes instead of putting your foot down saying like, I don't want to, this isn't the way we do it. Right. It's being more open-minded and realizing that this is how it's going to go. And once we started, we realized we loved it.
Yes, because we do. I mean, when we talk to folks and sellers, sometimes we come across wholesale deals too. So we wholesale deals from a distance. We do terms deals from the same thing. So these phones and laptops and things like that now are really helpful.
Great. All right. So now I have a Jenn question. And Jenn, I kind of put this out there that you kind of inspired me to really dig in to my social media inner self from this summer. So same question, new city, no context, no money. In 30 days, if you want to attract some quality leads through social media, what does that look like?
Well, definitely using everything possible from all aspects. I would definitely focus on maybe, I would try to do 1, 2, 3. So 1 being Facebook, 2 being Instagram, 3 being YouTube, because those are 3 ways people are definitely attracting leads, other investors and whatnot. And of course, there's levels to each one of those. So try really hard to create some content, quality, but not perfection. So you want to get things out there super fast. When it comes to all 3 of those, you're really going to want keywords or hashtags. So you're going to focus on that city, You're going to want to find what's popular, what's trendy. You're going to want to follow those hashtags. Like on Instagram, you're going to want to see who's posting about those things and make real connections, because there's real people behind these Instagram accounts again. Same thing that goes with Facebook. You want to find everybody in those areas, people in those groups, and just continue to, genuinely reach out and not be a spammy bot who buys followers, but somebody who's actually going in there and connecting, and I love finding other investors and other people that are doing what we're doing or not, that maybe they're doing things differently, and complimenting them or asking them questions. People love sharing what works and what doesn't work. And, we've had so much fun with the REI community here in Instagram. So I would just say putting out daily content every day, having something posted, and then your stories are just a beautiful way where people can get to know who you are. So even you mentioned, like, you saw I journal. So like, I'm sharing with the world who Jenn is, not just as an investor, but as a person. I think the more you share about you, and again, using locations on all those platforms, tagging where you're at or where you want to be investing in, and then the hashtags are really important.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned hashtags, because so some people are really, really good at creating content, but there are nuances to understand the logarithms, if you will, if that's the right term, of how Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram allow you to reach others. What other important parts is it for people to kind of think about as they're trying to create a social media presence?
Being you, right? Like, I think sometimes we get caught up on like, well, this person does that and they have, 20,000 followers, but you don't know how they got those followers. And it's really important to, maybe find some people that you look up to and you really like their content, you're inspired by them, but make it your own, so make sure that if you're going to share a quote, that it goes along with what you believe in, or that you're kind of staying, to a true, I would say three things that you really, if you look at your page, like for me, it'd probably be houses, decorating, and my family. My family is extremely important to me. So if you go to my pages, you're going to see those three things kind of coming up again and again throughout that. So it's just, not trying to be something you're not. And I feel like now, because we've all been like stuck at home so long, the fake is out, right? Like, nobody wants to see like the fake planes and the Lambos are cool and all, but like, well, who are you really, right? Like, be authentic, show us what's really going on. Did your pipes just burst? Like, let's hear about it. It's really important to share the good and the bad. You don't have to be Debbie Downer, but definitely be real.
Absolutely. So a final question, Joe, this is for you, buddy. So you just had an anniversary. You just had your 1 year fire your boss, no more W-2 experience. I understand there was a party. I wasn't invited, but that's all good. So for your
Everybody
next, what? Okay, well, I missed the invite. I won't miss it the next time. So for your next 12 months, what key goals have you set up for you and your team?
So March 12th of last year was my last day at my day job. And so I am 14 months free from that cycle, I guess, if I would call it that. And I was blessed by my old job, but I look at what I can do now with my life, and I still almost just don't believe it sometimes. And it's still odd to me that I'm not running out the door, kissing my wife, not seeing my kids while I'm, inhaling some breakfast, speeding down the road to get to work for this meeting, right? So it's been a great experience. And I will say I've learned so much in that first year, where I look back and say, wow, why did I do this sooner? Because I always feel like any job that I've ever had, or most people have, they pay you just enough not to leave.
Absolutely.
Right. If they paid you half, everybody would probably quit their job.
Very true.
Right. And that's the way it is. So what's happening is, then can you just outpace what you're currently doing and live a lifestyle that you want to live, and not what you're kind of been force feed to live? And that's where I really see the benefit of this. So the next year is really growth. Like, we put high expectations. So I set a commitment, and then I set what's called a goal. So our commitment is we want to buy and do 50 transactions this year. that's our commitment. Our goal is to do 100.
Wow. Okay.
So if we come, if you shoot for the stars and you land on the moon, you're still doing great, right? So if we aim for 100 and I end up at 50, mission accomplished. If I end up at 75, it's just icing on the cake. And we're going to keep on working at that number. And the only competition that we have is ourselves, because we know what expectations that we have for ourselves and where we want to be. So I'm not trying to compete with investor down the street or this and other. How if we can make a deal, they're helping us to get to our number. So this is why we want to work with everybody that we can and make it beneficial for everybody, because if real estate is done right, everybody should win. And so you just try to make it a win-win for everybody.
Right. But here's what I want to share with you guys in closing. Our motto has always been, we're trying to revitalize the community one property at a time. But, I really feel good about how you guys are impacting people one homeowner at a time. You guys have real homeowners, real situations, real people who freely get on and share your praises. Keep doing it. You guys are really impacting our community. So keep up the great work.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You too.
Yeah, it's a team effort, and you just do what you can do. But when you get text messages and you get the emails, that's some of the best part of this business, is when you're really making a positive impact in somebody's life and they can't thank you enough. And that's the stuff that doesn't get broadcasted to the world and all those things. But we're truly, if you're really helping people and you're getting these notes and emails and text messages, you're doing great things. So we love seeing those. It really puts a good spot in your heart.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, again, I appreciate you guys so much. I know how crazy it is to have personal time. Joe, go do something nice for your wife. Figure it out if you haven't done it already. I'm heading out the door to do the exact same thing. So Jen, enjoy your Mother's Day, and you guys be well, okay?
Thank you.
Great seeing you, Earl.
All right, bye-bye, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
All right, Facebook. Bye-bye, guys.